Streaming live on WFLA Now. Powered by 1-800-ASK-GARY. Here is JB Buno.
Moments ago here in Northport, Florida, at the home of Brian Laundrie, the FBI, multiple agents here entering that home here, and they're currently here at the scene with attention being paid here to the camper that is still in the driveway here at the Laundrie home in Northport. JB Buno, Josh Benson here with you live, everybody on WFLA Now. This is live here in the center of your screen. Just want to quickly introduce ourselves, but let's go back here, live screen. And Josh, this is happening right now here, and we're live across all of our various platforms.
Yeah, so we're back out at the Laundrie home. We have obviously a crew out there, been out there for nearly 2 weeks now, and this was just happening. As you know, in the coverage that we brought to you, not much happens out at this home, but in the last few minutes, in the last 15, FBI showed up at the house. 2 agents went into the house, one carrying a paper bag, a brown paper bag. They were in there for a few minutes. They just, about 2 minutes ago, came outside. They went to the back of the camper. They took a look at that. From our vantage point you're seeing right here, we couldn't see exactly what they were looking at, whether it was the door, if they even looked inside. But they stood there for about a few minutes, and then they went back into the house. So interesting to see some activity there, and especially that interest in the camper and what they could be looking at there. That is the latest right now as we watch what the FBI is doing. That's their black vehicle right there. And when they are at the Laundrie house, they usually show up in one of those black SUVs.
One of the most difficult things about this, as far as the FBI being here on scene, is that the FBI, their MO, and we were talking about it on our previous stream here this afternoon with Brian Enton of News Nation, the FBI's MO isn't really to release information or telegraph exactly to the media what they are doing. So it might be some time, or might be a considerable amount of time before we know exactly what they're doing here. But what we will do here is continue to follow what our eyes tell us. And again, our eyes tell us, Josh, that they went into the home. We'll take a closer look here at what they leave the house. For those of you just joining us here, everybody on WFLA Now, they are still in the house at this time, and we'll watch the front door here. But they were, Josh, our eyes tell us they were paying very close attention to that camper.
And let's, for people who are just joining us now, let's look back at what has happened in the search for the case. First search for Brian Laundrie. As we've told you, they're back out at the Carlton Reserve. The FBI is. They have started after a few days of not searching. They brought the search back there, and it's a much smaller size, much smaller scale search party. But they have been focusing on areas of water, and they have been kind of focusing in specific areas, so to speak. This isn't a broad search. This is more of a targeted search to find certain details. What was interesting in this, what's happening right now, is this brown paper bag they brought into the house. When they came out, they didn't have the bag, so they have something in there obviously of interest. And so we got to try to figure out what that is, and we're going to keep watching here.
Yeah, we'll continue watching here for us, engaging new digital audiences here live on WFLA Now. Again, following breaking news here with Josh Benson. I'm JB Buno, and we're here live. Center of your screen, this is a live picture here, paying very close attention now to the FBI arriving on the scene. We were live on WFLA Now a short time ago, and literally, just as it happens, right as we hopped off stream here, we were talking about how there hadn't been any new developments, and perhaps there's the news jinx right there. As I said that, and as we were hopping off stream, the FBI had pulled up here to the driveway, and a couple of agents go in here with the brown paper bag that Josh was noting here, and now they came out for a short time. They did pay attention, of course, to the camper, and now they have gone back inside. Let's go back here live, full screen.
And again, like you said, I think a lot of people have been watching this coverage, and a lot of people expect quick updates. They want to see this thing progress. This is what can be the frustration of a case like this: is it can be drawn out. Obviously, it's a very in-depth investigation from the FBI, so things don't happen quickly. And I know for our crews that have been out there in front of this house for 2 weeks, it's definitely slow. So when something like this happens, people get pretty excited because it's some kind of action, and it's something to see that, hey, there's something in the investigation happening right now, and we get to watch. So obviously that's of interest. But yeah, in terms of the search, though, I keep coming back to that because it's interesting. They have kind of rezoned their efforts back to that Carlton Reserve in a smaller scale, and specifically Northport Police saying they're assisting in the FBI of focusing on bodies of water. So that will continue, and I think it's continuing today, and that's not far from where this house is. So this seems to be the active spot right now with the house and the search at the Carlton Reserve.
Again, zooming in here is our photographer Justin Rogers providing us here with this live feed from This Is Live right now as of 1:38 Eastern time here. We know that some WFLA Now live streams will replay at times, but this is live as of September 30th, 1:38 Eastern there. You see the no soliciting sticker there on the front door of the home. FBI back inside. So one more time, they went into the home with the brown paper bag, came out, were looking at the camper, examining the camper, and then went back in. And that's where they are right now. And we don't know the exact reason as to why they're here, Josh. We don't know if this is related to a search warrant. We don't know if this is related to them cooperating with the investigation as far as giving, offering DNA evidence, potential DNA evidence. That's what, the most recent FBI visit to the home here was to collect DNA evidence, as we understand it. And,
or maybe they found something.
And Stephen Bertolino, the attorney, offered that DNA, or said that the Laundrie parents offered that DNA. But yes, perhaps that we don't know whether or not there's something significant going on here, or this could be very procedural. But we're here live with you to watch what happens here when the FBI exits the home. In particular, we'll be watching here very closely as to whether or not they're going to continue to pay attention to the camper here one more time, and if they're actually going to be leaving here with any belongings from the home here, again, in Northport, Florida.
Interesting to see the flowers out there. I know we've touched on that a few times, but some of the flower deliveries have picked up and just kind of stacked outside of the doorway there. So that is an interesting a view of that front door and how those deliveries have played out over the last few days.
So we're here live, everybody, on WFLA Now. One thing that our commenters, and we'll look for hashtag #HeyJosh as we're rating here. We can look for hashtag #HeyJosh, hashtag #HeyJB in the Facebook Live comment section, YouTube Live comment section. Hello there to Twitter as well. We can, of course, feature your comments and questions here. And there's a lot of retired law enforcement here that have been joining us on our streams and providing us with some insight as to what they think is happening. We'll look for those hashtag #HeyJB, hashtag #HeyJosh comments and questions here. But this is live here, everybody, in the center of your screen. And I am hearing an echo. Are you hearing the echo?
Let me see if it's not me.
It's not? Okay.
Is it this monitor here?
It could be. Okay, here comes the FBI.
Right, they got a cooler bag there. Yeah. Looks like a cooler bag. They got what they needed. Looks like they're getting out of here.
You know where Brian Laundrie is?
Let's listen in.
Other way. All right, we're watching the FBI. They just exited the Laundrie house with a cooler bag, and they jumped in their SUV, this Tahoe now. They're going to be leaving the property. Obviously, the media surrounding the vehicle, so it's a little difficult to back out. So that looks to be it.
Just like that, the FBI on their way.
Got what they needed, and they're on their way.
So let's explain now how this works here, everybody. People are going to want to know, what was the reason for this visit? Why did the FBI show up? And really, the FBI is not going to tell us. What the only real avenue that we have to learning information about why the FBI was here today is through the only person that has been providing us with information pertaining to the Laundries, and that is the attorney, Stephen Bertolino.
Right.
So now I would imagine Stephen Bertolino's phone is ringing off the hook, getting endless messages here, but Justin Rogers, our photographer here, zooming in here on that camper, a camper that they did pay attention to during this visit here, Josh, a short time ago.
That's the first time since we've been out there that they've looked at that camper outside of the first few days of this investigation. In the last week or so, I don't think they've paid much attention to the camper at all. So that's an interesting development in the fact that they took a second look at it or peeked in there or whatever. We couldn't see from our vantage point exactly what they were doing in there, or if they were just looking at the back door of the camper.
And if you're just joining us, I'm trying to multitask here as best I can to provide that video. I do have that video of them examining the camper here, and as soon as it loads up into my system, and it is loading up into my system right now, let's play this back here for you live, everybody, on WFLA Now. That's live. That's the Ford Mustang there. And now let's show you the video from a short time ago. Right as we began this live stream, the FBI came out here, and Justin was like, okay, where'd they go? We thought that they were going to reemerge on the other side of the camper, the other side of the Ford pickup, or excuse me, Dodge pickup truck here. And looking there, okay, where did the FBI, where'd they go? Did they disappear? And then he moves over, and there they are, taking a very close look there at the rear of the camper.
I just see one agent. The other agent get in there, or is he just standing off camera?
That's an excellent question. And we need to find out here from
another angle of the video, and I'm sure
from our crews here in the field if the other FBI agent went into the camper to perhaps potentially retrieve something, or to look through it.
Yeah, they opened the door. They entered the camper for a minute from a source on the other side.
Okay, so yeah, that would make sense because the one FBI agent
I just saw one pair of legs. So yeah, they went in there to look at something, but it was quick. So
if you're just joining us here, folks, the FBI arriving here suddenly, and of course the media that has been camped here for the last several weeks, alerting us to it here, of course, immediately. We've had WFLA's Allison Henning reporting on this online, and arriving here for an unknown reason, walking in with a brown paper bag, coming back out of the home, then one agent going into the camper, according to what Josh is reading here, and then going back into the home, spending several minutes in there, and then leaving. So now it all comes down to what Stephen Bertolino says as far as whether or not this was something that was executed by the Federal Bureau of Investigation as far as a search warrant, or whether or not they were obtaining some form of evidence, or we don't know, or whether or not this was in the Laundrie is cooperating with the ongoing federal investigation that, let's remind people, is still a missing persons case. And yes, he is the sole person of interest in this investigation, not a suspect in the or really connected in any way at this time based on what's available publicly. He's not connected to Gabby Petito's homicide, but this is what we know from the FBI is that he's just a missing person, and he's a sole person of interest in Gabby Petito's homicide when she was, of course, found dead in Northwest Wyoming.
And every time the FBI shows up at the house, obviously there's a reason. I believe last time they were looking for a DNA sample, and we got that from the attorney. So that was something much smaller. Wasn't a big bag of anything they brought in. It was something small. They came, they left, and that was it. So yeah, as you mentioned, JB, I think his phone is going to be blowing up just trying to get any indication. A lot of people are speculating that it's probably be a DNA sample, but to go into the camper is interesting just to see what they either took or what they needed from the camper. So we won't know until we hear from the attorney at this point. The FBI will not tell us what they're looking for, obviously.
And I'm working on getting the video again here. We want to be able to play back the highlights here for you folks. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to try to bring this video into my system now. Welcome to 2021 Multitasking in News. I'm trying to bring in this video into our system here to show you what they walked out with here.
Do you have any questions while you're doing that? If they want to pop those up, we can talk about it.
Yeah, let's see if we can bring up some of the questions and comments here in the Facebook Live comment section.
Because outside of this, there hasn't been a whole lot happening today. This is kind of the first development in the case today for everybody who's watching kind of minute-to-minute action that's happening.
Yeah, and I'm trying to. It's a whole lot here, Josh. I'm going to bring you up here solo.
7 more hands. That's
I do.
What you need. Like
I have 7 screens, so 7 hands would be very, very
6
helpful.
more tentacles.
Yeah, Josh, I'll let you kind of fly solo here for just a minute while I bring up this video.
I'm just sitting here. I wish I could help.
Let's see. Okay, so it is coming now into our system. And what we'll do is here, everybody. I'm going to bring it up here on screen. This is, again, now the video of what they walked out with. We're going to kind of go back in time as far as, our coverage here. So this is going to be here. All right, let's see if we can hit this button and that button.
Fast work, JB.
Okay, there we go.
There we go.
Okay, so this is live. This is the moment when we were live. Okay, so there we are. This is very strange because we're seeing ourselves here. And there's that cooler bag, as you called it, Josh.
He seems to be the agent that always shows up, too.
Yes.
Starting to notice.
I agree.
I don't know his name right offhand, but he seems to be the guy that's always making the stops.
Let's pause it right when. Okay, so here they are coming out. This is you and I, a freeze frame, and not Not a great one. Let's give it. Okay, there we go. A little bit of a
looking out the window.
slightly better one. Okay, so there we see in the center of your screen. This is again the time machine that is WFLA Now. We're going back now in time, and showing you there the two agents now walking out of the home here. And we'll kind of go frame by frame here, everybody. So okay, so coming out of the home here, you can see the two agents here, a man and a woman, and you see them carrying
Look at this,
that bag.
play-by-play by JB. What's on top of there?
And there you see, I'm not entirely sure. Of course, not going to speak to any members of the media, not going to even address them. Just get right back in the vehicle there and take off.
Yep. Short and sweet.
So one more time here, everybody. Let's show you what they walked out with. And it's possible that this isn't the only item or container that they're leaving with, but there it was there again. And I'll freeze frame it one more time. Going back in time here in the WFLA Now time machine.
All right, here we got an update from
Okay.
the Laundrie lawyer, according to Brian Enton. The FBI at the Laundrie home today to collect some personal items belonging to Brian that will assist the canines in the search for Brian. There is nothing more to this. So there you have it. They may have gone into the camper to grab something. They grabbed something possibly from the house. They put it in the cooler bag, and they are most likely going to take that out to the reserve and assist with the canines. This is all according to the attorney. And obviously, as you know how canines work, some are just human scent tracking dogs. Some specifically trained to use a scent to track. In this case, they have different kinds. They have German Shepherds, they have Bloodhounds, they have different kinds of dog tracking dogs. So what would happen is, in this case, they would go out to the canine handler. They would give them a piece of Brian's clothing or something that he had used in the past that has his scent on it. And they would have a little bag, and they would stick that in the nose of the dog, and the dog would trigger that scent. And then after that scent gets in the dog's nose, the dog tears off and starts to try to identify that scent anywhere around the dog's search. So that sounds like this obviously what it is.
What we don't know, and Brian Enton, right on it, as you would imagine, what we don't know is what was collected here as far as being able to assist in the search for Brian Laundrie, as far as picking up on his scent. Do we know, and I don't think Brian said it in the tweet, do we know if Stephen Bernardino said it came from the camper or inside of the house?
We don't. But, I think the bigger question is...
Just a note here, really quickly, Josh, they just locked, you just heard that, they locked the pickup truck there. I would imagine that was from inside the home there. So the beeping
idea.
you heard, that was them locking the vehicle.
I think the bigger question is, though, obviously they had his scent earlier. Why would they need a new fresh scent? And I don't know this. A canine handler could tell you that. Do you need to replenish a scent for the dogs as they continue searches over days at a time? Obviously, does a piece of clothing lose its effectiveness based on the scent, and then they have to go back and continue to get new scents? Or is it that they need something more specific related to the scent? Maybe, I don't know specifically, but maybe they found some evidence out there and they're trying to figure out, is it related to clothing? Is it related to personal effect? That would be a question too. I wonder why they're needing new material for these scents for the dogs. That's an interesting question.
All right, well, folks, you know what we do here in WFLA Now? We feature you wherever you're watching from, whatever platform you're watching from. You might be watching on YouTube, you might be watching on Facebook, wherever you're watching from in the social media comment section. Perhaps you have access to Twitter. You can use hashtag HeyJB, hashtag HeyJosh here. We're going to keep the train on the tracks here as far as what we know with this new development, but want to make it clear here, folks, that we want to feature some of what you have to say here in the social media comment section. So, Josh, why don't we get right into it here and take some questions with
you got it.
With hashtag HeyJB and hashtag HeyJosh. And I'll just bring this one up right away because this one, and we got to hit a couple buttons here to activate our interactivity here. Okay, Tiffany Clarkson, hashtag HeyJB, hashtag HeyJosh. Maybe they're taking the scent to where Dog the Bounty Hunter is. Well, are they where he is or to? Well, they're not. The FBI isn't going to bring a scent to Dog the Bounty Hunter.
And I'm in touch with Dog's team, and Dog is on a different search today, and they're not anywhere near the FBI. So as yesterday, there was two completely different searches, one with the FBI and one with Dog's team. They're not going to be working together. I can tell you that.
Some other comments coming in here,
No,
but they are at Fort DeSoto.
A question was asked yesterday: did Dog's team have a scent of Brian's to use with the dogs that they have? Because they do have a canine team with them, and I checked on that, and the answer is no. They were using just general human scent search dogs.
We need a canine expert to answer a
Yes,
question
I was
like
just
this
thinking
one
of that.
here from Beth Brostrom. #HJB. I like the cat in Beth's photo here. #HJB. Why would they assume the house would have a fresher scent if he hasn't been there? Well, again, this is a better question for a canine expert, but your scent lingers on your clothing, and it can linger for some time. And if it's especially if we're talking about something that is, in your dresser, right? I mean, something that is contained. And again, I would need a canine expert, but I would imagine that the dogs have super incredible, powerful scent capabilities. So you would imagine that it would just take something that has enough of a scent for them to pick up on Brian Laundrie's whereabouts if he is in fact out there at the Carlton Reserve.
Yeah, it would be good to get some perspective from a canine handler. The team that Dog used yesterday was the Peace River Canine Search and Rescue. So that's a local group that has dogs and obviously a team that can help run missions like this. This is a Southwest Florida-based nonprofit, and they had a few dogs out there. But in this case, obviously, yeah, we just heard from the attorney that they went to the Laundrie house to get a sample to take to the dogs for a scent, I believe.
Let's take this question here. Thanks a lot, Beth, for yours. Aaron Butler, #HJB. We're not going to be able to do this for too long. We'll probably go to the top of the hour here, 2 o'clock. #HJB. Could it be that the new evidence was his and that they are really close and wanting fresh scents for the dogs? This is, again,
We don't know.
We just don't. We're delving into the realm of unknown, and we just don't know. But there's so much that's possible here. But this is now a couple of times where the FBI has arrived here to collect items, and the FBI has left with those items based on what we know. So from Stephen Bertolino. So first it was to collect DNA evidence. Now it's to collect evidence for a scent to help the canines in their search for, again, missing person and sole person of interest in the Gabby Petito case, Brian Laundrie.
And let's talk about the search itself, because remember, it was really heavy out there at the Carlton Reserve for days on end, and then it took about a 2-day break, and they're back there. So clearly the FBI has a good indication he's either there or was there or continuing to stick out there and search. So that's important to the case, obviously. There's been a lot of sidetracking and a lot of different theories and things going on and everything else, but the fact that they keep going back to that reserve is interesting. They must have something really solid out there to keep them out there.
I'd like to address this one because this one's been coming in on my WFLA JB accounts across Facebook, Twitter, and Instagram, and it's multiple times, and I've been promising I would get to this. Jill Ryder, #HJB, #Josh. Any truth to the story that Brian flew home to clean out Gabby's storage unit? This is unconfirmed. This is one of those pieces of Twitter information that lives within the realm of unknown, but this is not confirmed as we understand it at this time. So there's been a lot of talk out there about a flight and whether or not Brian flew home, and that's just something that we cannot. I know that it's out there. It's just something that we cannot confirm at this time. But there's been a lot online here talking about that exact question. Let's take this one here from Heather Roach. #HeyJB, #HeyJosh. Is this unusual for the FBI missing persons cases to return multiple times for scents? And we don't know that it's been multiple times for scents. As a reminder, the original visit that we were just referencing, and Josh, correct me if I'm wrong, that was to collect DNA evidence. This is now to collect scents for the dog. Correct. Specifically. According to this is all through one lens here, and that lens being Stephen Bertolino, the Brian Laundrie attorney.
Correct. They say he came out to get a personal effects, essentially, of Brian's to assist with the canines in the search. Now, I have heard from a person here who does search and rescue of lost pets, fresh scent with search dogs. Fresh scent is important because when other people have handled the item, cross-contamination can occur. So this is someone who handles, is a dog handler and knows firsthand about how this can affect a search over time, because keep in mind, this has been ongoing for weeks now. So if they initially if they got some material of Brian's and they brought it out there and used that for the dogs initially, I think that expires after a certain amount of time. That, or they came across some element of the search or came across something that may have been evidence that they need just further confirmation that was related to him. So they would come back to the house, get a new scent or get something more specific, maybe inside that camper, so to speak, bring it out there, now give it to the dogs, and then that dog will hopefully hit on something out there to tell them that they're right.
It's really interesting, intriguing insight, because I can just, if it's a piece of clothing, for example, I know my brother and I would fight over sweaters a lot as kids, right? You know, we would, there was like one sweater that just fit just right. And it was,
you guys fought over sweaters?
Oh,
we fought
yeah.
over like He-Man figures.
Oh man, well, hey, listen, when you grow up and you want to look good, and
Yes, you're probably more
fight,
stylish than we were.
Listen. I grew up in New York, and but
style
you're from Minnesota. You didn't fight over like winter clothes.
We weren't a fashion statement up there.
No, but
winter
what if
clothes
there's
that was a bigger deal?
Yeah, but what if there's that one
Snowsuits.
winter jacket that's just perfect?
Oh, I had a few that were just beauty.
And your family didn't want to steal them from you.
My oldest brother was 5 years older, so it was never a conflict. But my other brother, that was where the battle happened.
Well, my brother and I would fight over
That's funny.
Great articles of clothing. But yes, but that again in that scenario there. It could smell like one person and smell like another, and it could smell like a mix of the two, and that could throw off the canines based on what you were just reading.
Let me give you the statement just so we're clear on what the lawyer said. The FBI is at the Laundrie home today to collect some personal items belonging to Brian that will assist the canines in their search for Brian. There is nothing more to this. So that's it. I think we got it.
Okay.
We covered it.
And last one here. This is the last question we're going to take. It's from Lindsay here. #KJB, #KJosh. Random question. Will the FBI be updating the Laundrie parents regarding their son, or do they keep quiet and tell them nothing? This is a really good...
That's actually a very good question.
It's an excellent question, because he is a missing persons case.
Right.
So, and based on all indications that we have received from law enforcement, what we're being told is that they are cooperating with
it's a criminal
investigators.
case. It's an
FBI-led criminal investigation,
Right.
but it's still but I think he's still missing.
Correct. But I think that it's a good question in that what do they tell the parents in the criminality side of it? No, following that case, how much information can they divulge since it's an open criminal investigation, even if it is his parents?
And this is where protocol comes into play, right? Because we have Gabby Petito who is deceased of homicide, and there's a homicide investigation that is underway. There's an FBI-led criminal investigation. Brian Laundrie is wanted on a single charge of use of unauthorized access devices, which basically translates to credit card fraud connected to the Capital One debit card. And then he's also the original subject in a missing persons case. So you have all of this in this pot here, and it's just hard to truly decipher what kind of communication there would be between Brian Laundrie's parents and what kind of communication there would be from the FBI to Brian Laundrie's parents here, and how much information, how many updates that they're receiving on where the search and where the investigation stands at this time.
And I'm still intrigued on the whole canine handler thing, because the canines are so important on a search like this. If you are a canine handler out there or have an organization, shoot me a direct message at WFLA Josh on Twitter. I just want to, for the next time we go to stream, it'd be nice to have some background on why this is so important that they get a fresh new scent, and why they have to have continually work with these dogs to keep them going in the right direction. Because obviously it's about getting those dogs to hit and then confirming for them what they're all looking for.
Josh, before we head out here, this has been a kind of a brief kind of a breaking development live stream. We're not going to continue on here for that much longer. To our YouTube audience, we'll be here live. We're going to continue playing back a little bit of the Brian Enton coverage that we had earlier, as far as Brian Enton being on WFLA Now coverage of this story here in a little bit. But Josh, as we look here again live at the right side of your screen, that's the front door of the Laundrie home here. What are you going to be monitoring here on Twitter and on social media in the hours ahead?
Yeah, it's a quieter day today, obviously, so we know the search continues. We know there's a little bit of activity at the house today, but, that's about it. There are going to be days that this case slows down and gets quieter. And like I said before, people want, this thing buttoned up in an hour. They want this thing to be like TV, like a TV show. But that's not the case. So this investigation continues. And when we get some new information, some fact-based stuff that we can report, we'll bring it to you on air and obviously here online. But that seems to be kind of the biggest development in the last few hours, is that the FBI showed up to take this sample to bring to the dogs to see if it can aid in the search for Brian Laundrie out in the Carlton Reserve.
Really the sole notable development of this Thursday, September 30th. Big thanks to Josh Benson. You'll see him tonight on WFLA News Channel 8, first at 4. We're going to have, of course, our 4 o'clock newscast. You'll see Josh and a lot of our newscasts here this evening, everybody on WFLA News Channel 8. And again, I'm JB Buno. We are going to end the stream in a couple of places like Facebook. The stream will continue here on YouTube, where we continue showing you some of the afternoon stream with Brian Entin here. And if there's any breaking developments here, folks, just like this, as I've been promising since this coverage began on WFLA Now, if there's any breaking developments, we can pop back in here really quickly live in places like YouTube, in places like Facebook, to continue our coverage here of the Gabby Petito and Brian Laundrie story. As a reminder here, folks, on WFLA.com, the WFLA app, all of our articles and the latest on this story, all the developments that are occurring right now as far as the FBI entering the home, leaving with something to assist, according to the attorney, assist with the scent, the canine dogs that are trying to pick up on Brian Laundrie's scent. All of this is on WFLA.com, the WFLA app, our award-winning team here behind the scenes producing all of the articles that you can read in our article hub with the latest on Gabby Petito and Brian Laundrie. We'll be back here with any breaking developments here, everybody. If anything occurs, we're back here in moments here live on WFLA Now.